not imitators, but essentially like people who came up with the idea of doing other every things. So every word with maybe like a word before it or after it, or every word in a different language. I think there's a German one, there's a Finnish one, there's one for every Finnish number. So it just keeps counting up forever, but it uses like the textual representation of the number, and makes a tweet out of that every so often. I even am doing one right now that's it's called I'm Feeling Every, which actually gives you the top Google result for searching for each word that came out of every word. And I mean, it was like my first bot that sort of became like a favorite and that I wanted to follow just to see what happens. It's somewhere in D right now. It has a long way to go, but you might want to check that out later. But this is going to be the first part where we actually do a thing. So this is the Unit 1 workshop. So we're going to be doing an every style bot. You could be doing this with any text corpus. And what's going to happen is that we're going to put it into a spreadsheet. And we're going to actually use an automated script that reads off of that spreadsheet at a regular interval and posts the result to a Twitter account. So this is the basic bot. This is essentially read, tweet, repeat. So first thing we actually need to do is set up a new Twitter account. So my basic example that I'm going to be using here is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I did a little like pre-checking at what was available on Twitter before this. Sorry, I wasn't actually going to use this window. It would be for other things. I was going to do a private window here just so we can drop the keys and forget about it later. So first thing, go to twitter.com. We're going to sign up with a new account. And we're going to actually have the need for a full name, UHDR, and phone or email. So you're going to need to add your phone number, because what's going to happen is we're going to be creating an app as part of this startup process. And the app is going to be the conduit by which we post. But Twitter won't actually let you have an app read and write unless you have a mobile phone number attached to it. So I'm going to actually put an email in here so I can receive email notifications about it first. So this would be me. Plus, so this is actually just going to be dumped into my normal mailbox in Gmail, but it'll have like a little thing attached onto it at the end. Okay, now we're going to have to generate a password for it. You can do whatever you like, but I do recommend maybe using a password generator and or manager. I like KeePass just because it's old and more or less proven. So I'm going to go ahead and generate a new password here. Just in a moment. Have some water. All right, so now from the internet group, we'll just add a new entry, and this will actually just be the UHDR bot. And so the username, I'm intending to actually use the UHDR. I think I mentioned that I'd actually like pre-check to see if this was available before we started the stream. So the URL will just be, of course, none of this is really necessary because I know what it's going to be, but I'm just going to put it there for reference so you can see about what we're going to be doing. So now we're going to generate a password, and we'll just have some stuff in here, and I want this to be longer, just 20 characters should do it, and then I can just okay that, and we'll copy the password to the clipboard and paste it in here. So sight unseen, I'm not giving away any of my secrets. There will be a time when that's unavoidable, but I will actually be changing all of the consumer keys for these bots after the stream so that you can't just post it as my bots. If you're ever like doing something publicly for a stream like this, I would definitely recommend you do the same. All right, so we sign up. Now it's going to ask me for the phone number. And like I said, this is optional. You could skip this part, but we're going to need to do this. So this is my Google Voice number, and this will drop a activation code into my email, which we'll be able to find here. All right, and we have a confirmation code of 835632. Just dump that into the verification code box. All right, now for the username, we'll set up the UHDR. I keep calling it the UHDR. It's actually the UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So grab that. Let's go. There's one other thing that you may have noticed when I was in my mailbox here. First of all, phone number is activated. I got that. But you're also going to get a confirmation email for the account. If you're working in a private mailbox, I'm sorry, not a private mailbox, a private browser window like I am right now, you're going to want to copy this link address and just go directly to it from there, like so. Now we actually have a confirmed Twitter account. So this is a good start. Okay, so next thing that we're going to need to do is set up a Twitter app. So this is going to apps.twitter.com. And because of the cookie restriction rules, it will already know who you are. So here we are, UHDR, UDHR. And just fill in some stuff. Most of this is going to be somewhat dummy data. If anybody ever actually used like a separate client to find out where your tweets are coming from, then they're going to see this string in name. And so that's that might be a good reason to just like give it a similar name to the name of your bot. And then for the description, it's like hosting app for the UDHR bot. Simple description, right? So we're going to be doing all of this off of Google Script. I just tend to put that in there as the bot's website. Now, one thing here that's interesting is that it's going to ask for a callback URL. Okay, so where that comes from is you're going to actually have this in your sheet. So this is a good time. If you haven't already gotten a copy of the bot workshop materials folder into your own Google Drive, you should do that. What that's going to let you do is you'll get your own version of this SSBot spreadsheet, because if you look at the one in my basic folder, you'll only have view level access. If you make your own copy, you'll be able to edit it, and that's what we're going to need. So you're going to get a copy, and then you're going to open SSBot version 0.5.1 pre-release. There is a good reason for me using pre-release today. It actually has an every functionality, which I was trying to hack into the previous release of SSBot, and then realized that Zach Whalen, who's the creator of this, was already working on it, and so I don't have to. So the last thing we have to do, here is your callback. The callback is actually based on the Google Drive ID of the script itself. So this spreadsheet actually has this as its as the script ID, and so we needed to know that. This callback is now what you're going to paste into the Twitter window. So this app now has a callback URL of this. Check yes, you've agreed to the Twitter developer agreement. I also recommend you read the Twitter developer agreement, but it would definitely bog down the live cast right now, so we're going to just gloss over that part for now. So, okay, so now we have an app. And what the app comes with now is a consumer key. It also comes with a consumer secret. We can see this on keys and access tokens. And the reason why an API key for open authentication is split into a public part and a secret part is really beyond the scope of this, but it is just worth knowing that you need both parts to actually successfully post or do anything with the Twitter API. So there are fields we're going to paste this into SSBot. So consumer key goes here in this green field. Cool. And then the consumer secret is going to go into the other field. Okay, so now we're set up for posting. At this point, we could actually write test tweets or do just about anything as soon as we go through the authorization process for your account. So the app's not tied to your account owns it, but to actually have the app post on your behalf, you're actually going to need another key pair called an access token. And what's going to happen is we're going to get that, and close out of this, as soon as we do a test. But what we're going to do before we get to that is actually look at the every tab. So this is going to be the type of bot will be doing. So this, if you read through the description, pretty much all it says is it's going to rotate through everything from cell B3 onwards in column B until it achieves this token 3 stars, stop, 3 stars. So you can see that if you actually look at your own copy of this, you'll see the Jabberwocky. I've already actually punched in the UDHR for testing purposes, but we're actually going to go through this again. One thing that I hacked together last night, because I realized that there wasn't a good tool for this anywhere, is a tweetifier. So essentially, if you go to this website, erhatican.github.io/tweetifier, you can also find this linked in the introduction document. It has links to all of the online web stuff we'll be using. So if you click on the link to Tweetifier, you can actually see this. And all I'm saying is, telling you to do here is take whatever corpus of text you were intending to use to do bot 1 for yourself and paste it in the left side here. And what comes out in the right side is the same thing, where it's split into lines and every line is 140 characters or less. Now, there's 2 options here. You can leave the short lines as they are, which is actually what I was intending to do for my UDHR bot. But we could also do a second one where all of the short lines are concatenated together into longer ones. So I'm going to take this output and I'm going to copy this. So essentially what's going to happen is I'll have my bot do 2 things. The first thing is it will do a tweet with short lines. Okay, just wanted to check in with you. Somebody has sent a comment in that says the callback URL isn't working. It says client application failed validation, not a valid URL format. So I want to check in on that before we move along, and we'll see if we can actually diagnose that. So going back to the setup, this should start with HTTPS. It should end with user callback, and make sure that there are no spaces around the side. I'm not sure if that's necessary, but definitely make sure that when you copy the callback URL, you actually select the whole thing from beginning to end. There you go. Thanks AK Williams for mentioning no space at the end of the string. Okay. Good. Thank you, by the way, to everybody who's jumping in to help with. I really do appreciate response like that. And so that's going to be lots of brownie points going forward. Sorry I can't give prizes, but you definitely get my kudos and applause for helping out. Okay, so back to the every tab. All right, so basically we have this so far. And then we have the remaining bits of Jabberwocky, and I'm just going to overwrite that by pasting in here. So now we have the UDHR in a compact format, and finally I'm going to type in ****, stop, ****. So we're almost done and ready. There's a couple things we need to do first in our settings. The first thing, obviously, is that we need to actually use the constructor that points to every. So that's going to be every out of this list. We can set the timing however we would like from the list, and I'm going to actually just do 30 minutes just for fun. So the min and max length, I believe, okay, so that doesn't apply to every, so we don't have to worry about that. Not